Hey, and welcome to this edition of RadioCastAoE. I've found a hideout game today in the 1200 range of rating because I'm warming up my casting skills to cast intermediate cup. I think that's what I call it. Tomorrow with Baradin. So I want players approximately in that range, so I can get used to what to look for and such. So I think this one will be good. It's a 12-13 player UriFrM, is what I'm going to call him, versus passexam. I like that nick. He is 1199, so they're very close to 1200, both of them, and they are playing on hideout. Passexam as Teutons and UriFrM as Persians. So two strong civs. Teutons, I've honestly always liked Teutons for their farm bonus. That is one underrated bonus. And now after they've gotten that extra armor on their melee armor, they have become really strong. Like I mentioned, this is a hideout game. And we see, let's turn out Fog of War and we'll see some more. Not much to say quite yet. This is kind of like arena, right? Hideout arena with palisades and a forest. That's important to mention that part of your protection and what gives you time to do whatever you want to do is that you're fairly far away from your opponent. In that, to reach the other side, you have to pass around this big forest in the middle. However, this generation actually is pretty much as close as you can get with a hideout map. There's only a dozen tiles or so of forest between the two wall segments of the two players, so they're actually fairly close. When it comes to resources, the red player passexam, he has quite exposed gold. I guess that is actually the generation in hideout, right? The gold is always out by the walls, either on the inside or the outside. So one is on the inside and one is on the outside. And it seems passexam is actually... No, never mind. They both have their 5 tile inside and then the 4 tile outside. I think that is scripted in a map gen, that's how it's supposed to be. So I guess in that sense, this is a fairly fair map. See UriFrM pulling in his first boar. Not a perfect timing, there's half a cow left there, but that's really hard to get that timing perfectly right. Though it seems passexam is actually getting it really good. He is, yeah, he can get this perfect actually. Ooh, he's leaving a cow with 13 food left. He didn't really have to do that, but that is really... Ooh! Oh no, he's really unfortunate with that boar. It was running off away from the TC in the last moment. So it ended up a tile and a half away from the TC. That was unfortunate. But the timing was really good. He deserved a better board positioning than that. Interesting, UriFrM is going... Well, no, he's waiting for a 4th. Okay, I was about to say he has 3 on berries, but here comes the 4th. And passexam is building his mill now. That's a pretty bad mill. His berry bushes are kind of like a snake stretching out, and he's put the mill in one end of the snake. So the last part of the berry bush patch will be like 5 times away from the mill. Unnecessarily far away. Ooh, that was close. UriFrM almost lost the bill to the second boar. But I don't think there are any losses yet. Let's pull up the stats showing that. Where is that again? KD, yeah, 0-0. So no one has lost anything to boar or other things. When it comes to villagers, we have 19 for passexam and 18 for UriFrM. So it seems UriFrM is slightly behind, and they are in balance again. So half a will behind, it seems currently. Scouts seems to be chasing each other. Passexam is over by UriFrM's base, checking out what's going on there. Passexam has 6 on berries. That's a little much, maybe, considering berries is not really the most efficient way to take food. I would rather eat some more sheep. I think he has 4 idle sheep just sitting. He's bringing them in now, but it seems that is so that he'll have something ready when the boar is eaten. The last boar has only 30 food left now, so you need something else for those villagers, and that will probably be those sheep. He did not shift click it. Those villagers were idle for a little bit, so it seems he doesn't take full advantage of the new DE features. Same thing with UriFrM, actually. He has some idles that just finished up a boar when he could have shift clicked them onto sheep and avoided that idle time. UriFrM, the Persian player, he's building a barracks while he's 40% on the way to feudal age. Passexam is 48% on the way to feudal age. Or am I messing this up now? No, he just clicked. Okay. Have to be aware of which player I'm looking at. Okay, so the first thing I said is correct. UriFrM is now 70% on the way to feudal age, and he has built the barracks, indicating that he will build some military buildings when he reaches feudal age. Same thing with passexam, also has a barracks up, and he is about halfway to feudal age. So UriFrM is slightly faster. Passexam is on 26 pop, 25 vils, whilst UriFrM is on 21 pop. 22 pop, 21 villagers. So I would say that I prefer passexam's position on this map, since you have pre-made palisade walls. I would rather stick in Dark Age for a little bit longer, like passexam did, and get to that slightly higher villager count, so that you have a little more resources to play with when you get to feudal age, and maybe even try to pull off fast castle. Yeah, that seems like his thinking here. He's actually doing range and blacksmith as the Teutons. Passexam is. So that could indicate archers, but he only has 3 villagers, for now at least, on gold. He has 250 gold in bank, so he could live off of that for archer production for a little while, but he needs to think about... Okay, more villagers are being sent to gold. So this looks like... Oh, he's not making archers. So maybe it is a fast castle. He has 670 food and 200 gold. UriFrM, on the other hand, he is thinking archers. He has built double archery range. And, currently housed. That's unfortunate if you're trying to push out those archers. But it certainly seems like that's his plan. He does not have a yeah, he does have a blacksmith, sorry. So UriFrM is going blacksmith double range. And is certainly setting his economy up for archers. He has 150 food in the bank and around 300 food and gold. So that's certainly archers he's thinking. passexam though is 30% on the way to castle age. So he will have the tools to protect himself from these archers, you would think. He's putting up another stable. Well, that's his first stable, actually. So he's currently on stable, range, blacksmith, and 50% on the way to Castle Age. I assume UriFrM will not be able to find too much damage with these 7 archers that he currently has. He arrives at passexam's gates now, but passexam, he's almost in Castle Age. So there's a very narrow window. And passexam, he seems to know what's up, because he has already built 2 skirmishers. And those skirmishers have taken almost all of the HP from 1 archer, so we're at 6.5 archers now. Well, actually 5.5 on the front, when more is coming. So, sure, UriFrM is pumping out the archers, so he will have a considerable force if he can get to Castle Age. How is he looking when it comes to resources? Nah, it doesn't look too good. He is nowhere near Castle Age. He has 100 food and not on his way up. So I don't really like his situation here. And passexam is starting to pump out those 2 knights. Well, pump out is not really the word. He has 1 stable that is currently idle. He only has 1 of those knights. So it can't really engage yet. It has no upgrades, so those archers could actually take out the knight. But alongside with 5 skirmishers, damage will be done. Well, the knight goes down, but the skirmishers are still alive, and they are picking away at those archers. I think this is a worthwhile exchange for passexam, just to keep those archers off his back while he does whatever he wants to do with his earlier Castle Age. Now the food economy is certainly improving for our Persian player UriFrM. Hasn't really materialized in the stockpile quite yet. He's on 350 food, but he must be looking for Castle Age, right? He went forward with his archer force, found that he couldn't really do damage because the counter units were already in. So then you have to think, what can I do? Is there anything I can do in this age? Not really. So then there's only one path forward, and that is to advance. But now, 2 knights still unupgraded, dives in among the archers. 1 knight almost goes down, but then the skirmishers again dive in and look for damage. The skirmishers are also unupgraded though. They're missing all the upgrades. It's generally held as truth that skirmishers are not very effective without armor, right? Because they can be targeted with a little bit of micro. They can be targeted and taken down by archers, even though they're supposed to counter archers. If you just have a good ball of archers, they can kill one-shot unupgraded skirmishers, and then the value of the skirmishers' pierce armor kind of disappear, right? If they can be one-shotted anyway. They have 3 pierce armor, but it's not always enough. That extra 1 pierce armor in Feudal Age is quite significant. The Teuton player has stuck with 9 skirmishers though. I don't think there's been any more skirmisher production. He's aiming to get into knights, and I think that is a good play. Especially considering how long UriFrM has been stuck in Feudal Age. He is on his way up now at 67%. But his eco will certainly lag behind. passexam is already on 3 TC. He's getting his 3rd TC up right now. And if we take a quick look at the villager counts, we are on 40. Well, that's actually quite similar. We're on 43 villagers for passexam and 40 for UriFrM. So passexam hasn't really taken advantage of his earlier castle age to get an eco advantage. Not a significant one, at least, yet. But he is taking control on the field. His knights are driving UriFrM's forward buildings back, or he's destroying them. I guess you don't drive buildings back. He is destroying them. As a counter, UriFrM is starting to get pikemen on the field. Problem there is that the pikemen will be countered by the skirmishers that passexam already has. There are 10 skirmishers along with 4 knights, and as an early castle age composition, that is really good. You need to either micro like a god or come up with some really clever composition to be effective against 10 skirmishers and 4 knights. And UriFrM doesn't really have... Well, he does have crossbow now. Crossbow with only fletching, no bodkin so far, and only the feudal age armor upgrade, but they do pack a punch, and the knights are being sent running. And the pikemen getting some good hits on those knights. There is some micro lacking there from passexam. He didn't quite protect his knights with the skirmishers. The pikemen got in among the knights. And the crossbow are picking off the knights here. Again, the skirmishers are not really doing their job. They're focusing too much on the knights, doing very little damage against the heavily armored knights. But now, well, no, again, unupgraded skirmishers die to crossbow. So UriFrM is definitely stabilizing. The score is very even. It's 2900, 2950 for passexam and 2870 for UriFrM. So essentially the same. You see UriFrM sitting on 3 idols at the moment. passexam on 2. So there's a little bit of inefficiency going on, but nothing major. Oh, that's a very forward TC from UriFrM. He's trying to take a gold. Well, it is right outside his base, but that happens to be right on the battlefront because these 2 bases are very close. Like I mentioned in the beginning, it's unusually close to be a hideout map, at least in my experience. UriFrM could have benefited from a bit of lumber camp upgrade or renewals, but that's probably not his primary concern right now. Ooh, his crossbows are standing right outside one of passexam's siege workshops. If we have a mangonel pop here now, this whole crossbow force could meet its end. UriFrM's knights are diving in on passexam's skirmishers, but these skirmishers are now become elite. They still don't have any upgrades from the blacksmith, but they are elite, which makes them quite a lot more effective against UriFrM's crossbows. And passexam is, of course, having a leg up in the knight duels that are going on here. UriFrM, I guess I haven't mentioned that, but UriFrM is adding in a few knights here and there to form some meat shield for his crossbows. Along with the knight pikemen. But the Teuton knights with their extra melee armor will of course make or take good engagements against Persian knights. Persian knights, yes, they have bonus damage against archers, but that's not really what UriFrM is looking for in those knights. And he only has 1 currently. He's sticking to the pikemen, which I think is a good idea. Pikemen as trash units, much cheaper to produce, and they form the same kind of meat shield, really, that he needs in front of his archers, as the knights would have. Knights would just have done the same thing, coming at a much higher cost. Yet another look at the eco. It's very close. Passexam hasn't really been able to take advantage of the fact that he was earlier at the Castle Age. He has 77 villagers. UriFrM has 72. So yeah, there's a 5 difference, but well, actually, yeah, we see passexam is taking some jumps in villagers now. So I think he was a little startled by the aggression from UriFrM and struggled a bit to get all his town centers going. I was about to say now maybe he has stabilized and got that figured out, but not really. Or am I just focusing on the wrong player? Yes, I was focusing on the wrong player. Okay, at least 2 out of 3 town centers are currently producing. So that is good. We see a little bit of force build up here now. UriFrM is making more pikes and crossbow, and passexam has been making knights and skirmishers. And passexam certainly has the bigger army, and the score is very telling now. The villager count, as I mentioned, very close. So this score difference of actually 800 points, without there having been any large encounters in the last few minutes, it must mean the passexam has just been building a much larger army, and now that army barrels down on UriFrM. Passexam takes straight up fights, knights versus pikemen. Not the most advantageous, and it seems UriFrM might stabilize. Well, now the knights dive in among the crossbows. There's a mangonel defending from UriFrM, but that is taken out by passexam's knights. And a lot of skirmishers in behind clean out the crossbows, and the game is over. That was a result of unit production in the right moment. Focus on units when units were needed. Passexam, he probably had the resources needed, or felt he had, because he had done his eco investments earlier, before UriFrM was really in a position to do damage. Passexam was able to get the Castle Age, get those TCs up, and invest in the eco. UriFrM did things the other way around. He did army early, but unfortunately wasn't really able to do any damage. And then came the time when he had to think, okay, this might go to Imperial Age, this might be decided by who gets to Imperial Age first, as is fairly often the case in a 1v1, so I can't neglect my eco entirely. So he focused on eco, and instead then neglected the army. And when passexam came with his army that he had the time to make, time and resources, UriFrM was not ready for that. Hoping that he could get away with some booming, which he could not. So that was a question of timing, a question of planning, and ultimately, I would say, a question of map awareness, or rather map strategy. Because this is hideout, this is not Arabia. You know that your opponent will be walled, right? If you want to do damage with archers, you have to have a really solid time and plan for how to do that, because you have to get past those palisades somehow. And if you just come up there with regular crossbows, if you're Saracens, then sure, then you can just melt the palisades and walk straight in. That's a different story. But with normal crossbows, or archers, actually, this was archers coming. Normal archers, Persians, there's nothing special about their archers, right? It's not until Castle Age when they can get wood-only crossbows. Just has nothing to do with this situation. Managing to do damage with normal crossbows archers without any bonuses in Feudal Age on hideout, quite unlikely. Alright, that was that. Hope that was enjoyable, and hope you were able to follow along, maybe without looking at the map. That is the goal of this series, that the cast, will be solid enough that you can enjoy the show as more or less a podcast. I have to talk a little bit about that. I intended to do it before the game started, but then I just got straight into it. So I'll kind of talk about this as the first real installment in the RadioCastAoE series, which I'm planning on doing more with and get some more practice myself as well as a caster. Know what to look for a little more, and I'm sure I missed a lot this game. But the idea is to try to be so detailed that the listeners don't have to be viewers. So detailed that you can do other things while enjoying Age of Empires content. Because I find that I do that a lot myself. I put an Age of Empires cast on the ears. My phone. From my phone, I pull up a YouTube video or someone casting something on Twitch or whatever it may be, and I go out and mow the lawn or something, and that's really enjoyable. But sometimes the caster, understandably, assumes that he has both the eyes and the ears of the audience, right? But that's not the case for me, and I'm guessing that's not the case for a lot of people, because we're busy, right? We need to do other things. We can't just sit down and 100% enjoy AoE content, maybe. We have to do other things as well, and that's what's the big strength of a podcast is, right? That you can listen, and you don't have to use your eyes. So that's the idea of this series, and I hope I can get to a level where that is actually the reality, that it can be enjoyable to follow only as essentially a podcast. I don't know if I'm quite there yet, but if you come back later, maybe things will become even better. Thanks for listening or watching, and see you next time.